What's going on, all you gamers? If you're playing the Ascent or thinking about it and would like to know some hints and tips, here's my top 10 tips on how to survive as a beginner in the Ascent. Welcome back, all you guys and girls. As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon? I'll bring you all the latest and greatest in hints, tips, guides and builds, and just some fun gameplay of all the latest content. But for today, I'm here to give you a few tips on how to survive the Ascent and how to make the game a little bit easier as you progress through. So kicking it off at number 1, we have the cover mechanics. Starting out in the Ascent can be a bit of a daunting task. Everyone and their brother is pretty much out to make sure that your health bar doesn't stay in the green. However, you don't have to make it easy for them, and standing around out in the open definitely does that. A lot of times you will be hit and hit very hard. How you can avoid that? There's a lot of things around that you can use as cover. If it looks like you can duck behind it, it looks like you can use it as cover, you probably can. Crouch behind it and then use your left trigger on the Xbox at the very least to aim high, shoot them, but they won't be able to shoot you. A really nice tactic, especially if you're being overwhelmed by a lot of enemies. If cover's not your thing, then how about dodge rolling? Whether you're using this to avoid enemies or to get out of a tight spot, there's no doubt that you'll be using this almost constantly when you're playing the Ascent. After a while, rolling around will pretty much become second nature as you use it to dodge through enemies or just to get to places a lot faster than you normally would do, as it's still faster than running. So if you're finding yourself a little bit outnumbered and you need to gain a little bit of distance or gather your composure, then dodge roll off into the sunset and then mow them down from a distance. Or just turn around and flip straight through them. Another great bit of advice would be to build your character how you want. There's a lot of armour, weapons and augments in the game, so don't be afraid to experiment with varied outcomes. If you want to be ridiculously tanky, then chuck everything into health, get yourself some really nice durable armour that has a lot of resist to all the elements. If tanky is not your playstyle and you're more on the offensive side, then chuck a lot into crit. Make the character how you enjoy playing them. There's absolutely no wrong answer, except for maybe this guy. So pretty much just muck around and see what you come up with until you find a build that you really enjoy playing with. And don't forget, if it does go horribly wrong, you can always reset your skill points as long as you've got the money. Don't be afraid to explore. In RPGs and games like this, you do not have to go exactly down the beaten path. You don't have to make it all the way to endgame straight away as fast as possible just by doing the main quest lines. If you want to venture out, discover new locations, just have a little wander. Or of course grab yourself some side quests. Half the fun in games like this is actually venturing out from where you should go and just having a little look around and seeing what you find. You never know, you might find yourself something nice that you wouldn't have found if you'd have gone down the path that you probably should have gone. Never be afraid to explore, venture out, and of course use your map to see exactly where you haven't been, and why not try to get some of those chests while you're there. You never know, there may be some great loot inside. Next up, one thing that works hand in hand with this is leveling up your cyber deck. If you ventured out already and you found some locked containers or places that you can't get past, whether it be doors or chests, you may well have seen that it's got an ice rating. They're pretty much from 1 to 3, and the only way you can open these is by leveling up your cyber deck. As you play the game and venture out, you'll come across upgrades for your cyber deck. You're going to need a fair few of them, but they're definitely worth collecting and looking for. So if you're trying to find some of the better gear in the game, some of the uniques and some of the kind of hidden locked items, leveling your ice rating is definitely something you want to look into. As after you have, you'll be able to find those chests, you'll be able to find those secret doors or locked doors that you've already found, come back to them and grab yourself some great loot that you wouldn't have been able to obtain otherwise. Now, leveling up your cyber deck isn't the only thing you can do, so why leave it there? If you're struggling to kill those enemies, if you're not hitting hard enough and your damage seems like you're throwing a wet sponge at someone, then why not level up your guns as well? You're going to need some hefty resources, but it will definitely be worth it as you're going to level up their damage and you're going to upgrade their stats, meaning you'll hit harder, you're probably going to reload faster, and you're just going to make your way through the enemies a lot easier than when it was at bog standard level 1. In total, you can upgrade your weapons a maximum of 10 times, but you may want to be careful as the resources are a little bit hard to get hold of, so don't upgrade any that you don't think you'll be using a little bit further down the line. If there was one tip that I could give you, probably as early as I could, it would be to grab some health. Early on, as soon as you can grab some attributes, As soon as you start leveling up, as soon as you can put some skill points into vitality, grab some of it and get yourself some nice health. Honestly, you won't regret it because the enemies hit pretty hard in this game, and if you haven't got any health, you're going to find yourself falling over or just running away in fear a lot of the times, because there's only so much damage you can do if you can get one shot and you can't get anywhere near them in the first place. Don't forget to vary your damage. There are a lot of weapons and augments at your disposal, and some are absolutely ridiculously good against certain types of enemies. You don't have to stick to one type of weapon like a ballistic. If something's giving you trouble, say for example robots, then why not try some energy weapons? If you're struggling with bigger foes and they're making you run for your life, then why not grab yourself something that's a nice augment that does a lot of damage and tends to negate a bit of their defences like their armour, such as this with Pierce. It will come down to a bit of trial and error, but varying up your damage types and making sure you've got things to take on different foes definitely works in your favour as you proceed through the game and make your way through different areas. Next up, I would highly recommend doing some side quests. You don't have to just do the main storyline and finish the game as fast as possible. In fact, half the fun in games like this is exploring, venturing out and finding some of the quests or quest givers that will give you these odd little tasks. You just never know what's going to come up or what you're going to find. For example, this fella right here who has decided to give me the task of gathering 12 feral animal testicles. Like I said, never a dull moment. I'm probably just not going to ask him what he wants them for. Another reason you're going to want to get these side quests done is because it's the only way to get some augments that you cannot obtain from the shops. So if you're after some of the unique augments and really strong ones, then try some of the side quests and you never know your luck. Now last but definitely not least, and take this one with a pinch of salt because I'm not actually there yet, but apparently in one of the interviews with the designers, he stated that there's no real level cap. Now I'm not entirely sure what that means, but as far as I can tell, it pretty much means you can max out your stats. So I'm guessing the level doesn't matter as much, as if you really wanted to grind, you could probably max out the stats. Obviously the highest they can go is 20 apiece, but even at that is ridiculously high and you will be crazy overpowered. I don't really want to think about how many hours you'd have to put in, but like I said, just have fun with the game, explore, adventure, play the game for what it is. Some absolutely ridiculous, crazy, manic fun. Go to town with builds, enjoy playing with different weapons, and if you get bored of single player, why not jump in with a friend? So if you can, why not venture out with some people online and just absolutely decimate the enemies with a lot of fun, different builds, and the screens being lit up with various moves going off all at once. As always guys and girls, I hope that's helped a few of you out. If it has, then why not hit that thumbs up button, and as always, take care. I'll see you on the next day.